Welcome to Remove Before Flight, where we help prepare veterans to start, grow, or scale a business. And in this episode, we're going to talk with Corey Christman, a veteran, retired special agent, and serial entrepreneur. And as always, we will leave you with a great marketing tip. I'm your host, Kevin Fairbanks. Thank you for being a part of our show. Now sit back and get ready to learn how to be a success. We are happy to be a part of the Change Your POV network. Having listened to Benton and Eddie for a while, it has been a great honor to be invited to be a part of their family. Please show them some love and help continue the great programming the Change Your POV network offers by making a donation today. Visit changeyourpov.com, where you'll find valuable information about supporting the network through Patreon. All right. Before we get started, let me introduce you to our guest, Corey Christman, by reading his official bio. Mr. Corey M. Christman serves as the Chief Executive Officer of VetThos, a human capital leadership and executive strategy firm. He's a retired supervisory special agent, United States Air Force Office of Special Investigations, and a veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Since retiring in 2012, he's worked within the veteran advocacy space and is currently partnered with several key leaders to raise awareness for mental health, behavioral health for first responders nationwide. He is a professionally trained winemaker. He works within the Finger Lakes wine region of New York State, and he will be launching his own veteran first responder focused wine label in 2017. He's the recipient of numerous awards for leadership, human resource management, and innovation. In 2017, he completed the Executive Leadership Program at Cornell University, and he holds an MBA in Entrepreneurship and a BA in Criminal Justice. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Corey and have him give us his 10-foot overview in his own words.
Sure, Kevin. First of all, thanks for having me on. I love what you're doing, and I'm proud to be part of your show. I'm a upstate New York guy. Grew up in the Oswego, New York area. For people who don't know where that's at, we're right on Lake Ontario, about 40 miles north of Syracuse. I entered the Air Force in '92, retired in 2012. Most of my career, I was a special agent or a criminal investigator. Spent a lot of time doing counterterrorism and criminal investigations like you would see on TV, like NCIS and those other shows. Had an opportunity to work with some fantastic people, as I know you did as well. Air Force is sometimes a misunderstood branch of the service,
Yes, it is.
but especially if you're around the Marines and soldiers, we tend to take it on the chin, but when they come to our bases, they've never had it so good. So, after retiring, I spent a few years in the corporate world, realized that that was not the place for me, and over the past 18 months I've kind of got two businesses off the ground, one focusing on behavioral analytics and the other is in the wine business.
Nice. Can you tell us how serving in the military has impacted your life and made you who you were today?
Yeah, like most people, that have went in right out of high school. I mean, I think we kind of start with this vision of, well, only going to do, X number of years. And I said that like 4 times, I'm only going to do 4 years and I'm going to go do something different. But, after the 20-year point, and when you're reflecting on, how the military kind of made me, and I can tell you that personally, I wasn't ready to be a college student at 18 years old. I knew it. I was on the 15-year plan to get my bachelor's degree. I kind of did a little bit here, did a little bit there, but inevitably the military shaped me from, as a leader, as a follower, as a communicator, and quite frankly, as an entrepreneur. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of these veterans now, especially post 9/11 veterans who are starting businesses, because they have the wherewithal, they have the drive and the skill set and the determination. And I'm proud to say the military shaped all of those in me.
Absolutely. I think a lot of us can share that same story. I'm there myself, going out of high school. College just wasn't an option. There was no way that I was going to be successful going to college.
Sure.
I needed that time away with Uncle Sam to grow up and mature,
Sure.
get a little structure. But so behavioral analytics and a wine business.
Yeah.
Those are kind of two different industries to be in. How'd the ideal come about for these businesses?
Well, a big part of my training as an investigator was centered on behavioral analysis. Most of it was from an interview perspective. And quite honestly, as being trained as an investigator, we were exposed to a lot of different behavioral analysis techniques and trainings. And so what I learned very quickly in the corporate space is there's a huge leadership gap in our country right now. And that's not a political statement, that's a business statement, meaning right now our country, in our country, there's 10,000 baby boomers a day are retiring. And what that's causing is, this gap to where Gen Xers and in some cases millennials are having to fill these positions. And what we're seeing from a business perspective is in a lot of instances, these individuals aren't necessarily prepared to lead this upcoming millennial generation. Specifically, millennials are misunderstood, and we can talk about that later. But I don't buy into the hype, quite frankly. But we could talk about that for like a half hour. So long story short, I was able to work with a couple different consultancies to help companies not only use behavioral analytics to select the best behavioral fits for their culture, but also lead and motivate their existing employees based upon how they are from a DNA perspective and not how they're perceived to be. So it's huge. Value proposition is awesome. Most companies and business owners don't realize that every time an employee leaves their company, it's costing them about 16% of the employee's salary. So $50,000 employee leaves your business. Every time that happens, it's about $8,000 or so. The number goes up exponentially for the more significant roles, especially at the executive level. Real quickly, the wine part of the business, I've been a winemaker now for going on 8 years. The last 5 of those years have been in a professional setting, working with a couple wineries in the Finger Lakes regions in New York State, and been able to slowly develop my own brand, which is going to be a veteran-centric and first responder-focused brand that we're hoping to release in the early part of 2018.
Nice.
Yeah.
What you have any employees or anybody that works for you in either of these businesses, or?
I don't have employees per se, but I do have other consultants that we work together. So while they're not directly employees right now, we split a lot of the lion's share of the work. So we're partners per se. I don't manage them individually, if that makes sense.
Sure, absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
How did you go about finding these people to bring into your organization that were on the same page as you, to truly care about what your organizations do?
100% networking. I think networking right now, I'm sure your listeners will agree that networking is how we get things done, right? Whether you want a job or whether you want to connect with someone who knows more about a certain, whether, technology or anything, the easiest way to increase the level of knowledge is to network with someone who's already been there and done that. The easiest way to get a job, quite frankly, is to network with people who can help open doors for you. So I was able to network with people who were infinitely more intelligent and more, smarter than I. And I was able to connect with them because we have a common belief in entrepreneurship. We have a common belief in people and to how to effectively lead them. From a wine business perspective, I was able to connect I literally just sent emails to people that I didn't know, and that generated, hey, why don't you come up and see me? The next day, I got in my car and drove 4 hours to meet one of the top winemakers in the Finger Lakes region and in some cases the world. And he opened some doors for me. He didn't know me, but the rest is history. So it's
nice
networking and initiative, basically.
Absolutely. I use, I don't know if you ever used Veterati at all. It's a veteran mentor network. And that's a common thing I get from people on there that I consult with and help mentor, whether they're looking for entrepreneurship or that job seeker, is the fact that they're finding, for the job seeker, Indeed, Monster, the places you normally go and dump your resume just don't work and cut it anymore. You've got to go out and network with people to get those jobs.
Sure.
So one of my biggest pet peeves when you get a bunch of entrepreneurs together is everybody paints this rosy picture and everything's great and I don't want to talk about it. So I'm going to hit you someplace pretty hard, and please be honest with us. What have been some of your failures and what have you learned from them?
I think, first of all, that's a great question. And I think sometimes for all the great things that the military provided us from skills and training, I think sometimes as veterans, we have a tendency to over-plan, right? We have a tendency to, let me shape this plan and mold it. And when I think it's done, let me give it to somebody and let them shape it and mold it. And meanwhile, weeks and months can go by and we get caught in this cycle of, not really taking any action. And so I think like many, entrepreneurs, we do this because it's risk management, right? We're maybe concerned about, well, there's a financial obligation, and if I plan a little bit more, I can reduce my chances of losing money, or I can reduce my chances of overexposure. So long story short, I was guilty of that early on, let me just keep planning and planning. And so part of the way I got out of that funk is to start talking to people who've been there and done that, and who said, listen, dude, you have this skill set. You bring so much to the table. It's time to act, step out, understanding that a decision you make today is a starting point. It's not an end point, right? So if you have to change paths, everybody's heard the term pivot. In other words, don't get caught up in the dogma, take action and adjust as necessary. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't count the number of times I've had to pivot in my businesses over the years. I've been through several successes and several failures, and it is what makes you stronger. It makes you who you are. So,
yeah.
How many hours a day would you say you typically work on average?
I'm juggling a few different businesses, but I think conservatively, there's some days that I might have 4 hours in, and then there's other days I might have 14 hours in.
Absolutely.
It just depends on which business I'm working in. I can tell you in certain parts of the year in the wine business, we're working 90 hours a week. Other in the consulting business, I spend a lot of my days meeting with people and talking with people, whether it be via computer or in person. And I'm doing my documentation and business writings at night. So those days can be fairly long.
Yeah, I hear you on that. There's days I put in 20+ hour days, and it's like, really? Sometimes you just want to say it's so much easier to go to work for somebody else.
Sure.
But how would you say that the entrepreneurial life has affected your family life?
The entrepreneurial life, I wouldn't trade it for the world, especially being in the corporate world for almost 5 years. I'm not a cubicle guy. I'm not a structure guy. It's just not in my DNA. It's not what I did in the Air Force. And quite frankly, after being in the Air Force for as long as I was, and then coming back into a corporate space, it just sucked the life out of me. So, I think the opportunities that the entrepreneurial life presents are flexibility. They are, spontaneity. Sometimes you just have to make a decision on the fly and go. But more importantly, the ability to be my own boss and to positively impact the lives of others. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Absolutely. If you had 3 pieces of advice that you could give to a fellow veteran who's looking to become an entrepreneur, what would they be?
First of all, don't buy into the negative hype, right? There's a lot of negativity about, separating from the military or retiring from the military. It can be challenging if you're going into a traditional job, but first and foremost, proactivity and taking charge of the opportunities that are out there is key, right? From an entrepreneurial standpoint, don't be afraid to ask for help, right? Because sometimes the military teaches us that we kind of know a lot of things, and asking for help means we're going to be vulnerable, and sometimes we're not always good at being vulnerable. So self-awareness, asking for help, and thirdly, just stay the course, right? I mean, there's an extent there. I mean, there can be a circumstance where maybe if a business opportunity isn't working and you're dumping more and more money and time and you're not seeing results, maybe you want to pull the plug on that. But sometimes it just takes time. And generally speaking, a lot of the veterans that I know were not very good at being patient. We want those results very quickly. But I think if you're investing time in your business every day, if you're networking with people, if you're confident, right? Sometimes we get in this, can get in this mindset of only networking with someone to further a business, goal that we have. And that kind of comes across as fake, right? Or can come across as fake. One of the things I encourage entrepreneurs to do is spend some time, actively listen to people who are willing to talk with you and develop relationships, because the time you invest in those relationships can exponentially impact your business in a positive way.
Absolutely. Change a little bit of a subject. If you could talk to one person from history, who would it be and why?
Wow. That's somehow I think the Jeopardy music should be playing in the background.
Absolutely.
I think, the first person that comes to mind, right off the top of my head, I'm not a political guy. I don't talk politics, but one of the guys that I read about and I think would be just a awesome person to talk to is Ronald Reagan. His leadership, his just a fan of him in general. Obviously, I wasn't really old enough to understand him as a president during his time, but I just think it would be fascinating to talk with him about life in general.
Nice. All right, let's see. So how do you go about marketing your business?
I market my business and just talking with people, right? I think there's the traditional marketing sense, which, you're the expert at, but I mean, it can be everything from Facebook to Instagram in the traditional sense. But I think most importantly, I don't underestimate the power of communication, whether it be face-to-face, whether it be in an email. I think part of elevating our businesses is visibility, and a lot of that visibility is getting out to trade shows or getting out to, like I know you do coffee with people, just talking to people who are like-minded, talking to people who you think have common interest, and someone who's actually going to be end up being a referral. Sometimes we shy away from those things because the perception is what's the value proposition, right? If I spend an hour with some person in a coffee shop, that's an hour that I could be doing this,
Absolutely.
But I think the value proposition is building relationships with people who, when they're talking with their people in their circle and they say, I need a marketing guy, and I need prefer it be a veteran and prefer it be in Syracuse. So I know the guy, and Kevin can help you, right? So don't get caught up in the value proposition all the time. Spend time creating relationships. That's what I do.
Absolutely. I see it on both sides of it. As you mentioned, I do those coffee sessions, and there's no strings attached. It's literally just to get out there and meet with people and build that network. And I get people who are scared to meet with me. They think there's some hidden objective. I'm going to be there to sell them. I'm like, no, just come sit and chat,
Yeah.
And the other side of it is, I've had those meetings where I've met with other veterans and other business owners, and all of a sudden you realize how you can help one another, and both of you walk away from the table with business. And that wasn't the intentions of it to begin with.
Sure.
So they're very powerful to get out there and just talk to people. So I have to agree 100% with you on that one. So, all right, another moment for you to think. In one word, characterize your life as an entrepreneur.
Initiative.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean it's all about initiative and how far are you willing to go? How far are you willing to take it?
Perfect.
That's many words, but
initiative's the one word. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Excluding your companies, what company or business do you admire the most?
I think right now, from a holistic perspective, I think a company that is doing a lot for veterans right now that's not widely known is a company that I consult with called Vet Advisor Services. And they are a company that is focused on veteran retention, and they actually help businesses. For example, one of their clients is Hewlett Packard, and they help businesses retain veterans, right? There's been a massive push in the past, 5 to 7 years to hire post 9/11 veterans. And what we've seen during that time frame is there's companies are very well-meaning and their intentions are great, but they don't have the processes in place to retain these veterans. And so Vet Advisors has been doing fantastic things, both in the federal space and the commercial space, to help companies do just that. And they have an awesome culture. They literally have a line of people, waiting to be employed there. because of what they're doing and their culture. So it's a company that I encourage your listeners to learn more about. One of the initiatives we're working on collaboratively is taking the veteran holistic coaching model and moving it out into the first responder space. We can talk more about that at another time, but basically there's an the first responder space is underserviced massively from behavioral health and wellness. And so that's kind of our next focus. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely would be interested in doing another session with you and discussing that in more detail.
Yeah.
It's time to kind of wrap things up here a little bit. And I know that everybody is going to be looking for one answer that I'm going to ask you. You were a criminal investigator in the military.
Sure.
You got any cool stories for us?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of things. Some people don't associate the military with, significant crimes. Like murder and aggravated assault. One of the things that I'm most proud of is my time in Iraq. I was in Iraq in 2003, 2004. I was sent there with a team of guys to perform protective service detail. So basically what the Secret Service does for the president, we're trained in the same techniques. And so our sole purpose was to protect the provisional mayor of Baghdad. Most people may not realize that in that time frame, we were basically running the country of Iraq. So my team, our sole purpose was to protect the American who was serving as the interim mayor of Baghdad. So we would literally travel the country with hard cars, hardened vehicles. We put them on a C-130, so we have a fully armored Ford Excursion or a fully armored Chevy Suburban, put them in a C-130 and fly around the country and protect this guy so the country would stay, the government would stay intact. So as far as investigations, I investigated everything from murder-suicide to did a lot of drug work, narcotics investigations. So I mean, we can talk about this for hours, but the drug investigations that we did were pretty significant, and the Iraq missions that we did were awesome. We were present when the first democratic constitution was drafted in Iraq, so that was pretty cool.
Nice. Well, I want to thank you so much, Corey, for being a part of our show. You've brought some great value to our audience, and we appreciate you sharing it with us. For those listening, if you go over to changeyourpov.com, you'll find the show notes for this episode, where we'll have links to Corey's businesses as well as the vet advisor services that he mentioned. So anything you'd like to share with us that we didn't cover before we wrap this up, Corey?
No, Kevin, I appreciate what you guys are doing between you and Bennett and Eddie. You guys have been making differences for a lot, many veterans, and keep up the great work. And if I can help you guys in any way, don't hesitate to reach out.
Perfect. Thank you again for being on the show.
Awesome.
Well, there you have it. You just got to hear the insight of a fellow veteran and serial entrepreneur. We would love to hear your feedback. Head over to changeyourpov.com, where not only can you leave us a review, but you can find the latest episode of Removed Before Flight, as well as several other great programs. While you're there, be sure to become a supporter via Patreon. Your donation helps keep Change Your POV bringing you valuable programs, helping you become as successful out of uniform as you were when you were in. Before we get to your marketing tip of the week, here's a quick word from one of our sponsors. Are you a part of the Veteran Entrepreneur Mastermind? No? What are you waiting for? Head over to Facebook today and join our group of veteran entrepreneurs. It's free, so you have no excuses. Visit facebook.com/groups/veteran entrepreneur mastermind and join us today. Or search on Facebook for Veteran Entrepreneur Mastermind. And now it's time to enjoy another marketing tip of the week. Social media is a variety of platforms where users interact to discuss topics from current events to whatever's trending. As a business owner, it is important to have consistent social media presence, because the more active you are with your target audience, the more likely you are to increase your website traffic and land more clients. Having a well thought out social media strategy will help you focus your efforts and make the most out of your time online. From what content you're sharing and how often you're interacting with your followers, to being specific about your social media goals and which platforms function best for your business. Social media management is a must. Content marketing works extremely well, whether it's from your website, blog, newsletter, or podcast. You can use it to provide free information to have real value to your prospective clients, while offering them the opportunity to purchase goods, services, or both, which are closely linked to the information you're giving away. For example, at Pink Tie Technology Group, we produce blog content where we provide all kinds of marketing, social media, and search engine tips for free. That's right, free. So if you're not a regular subscriber to our content, either follow Pink Tie on one of our social media channels or visit pinktietech.com today and sign up for our email notifications. In addition to our blog, we put out helpful videos which we post to YouTube and Facebook, bringing valuable advice to our followers. And just as I suggested above on using a podcast, I am now going to offer you a deal related to this marketing tip. As a busy business owner, where do you fit the time to manage content and social media into your schedule? No fears, Pink Tie is here. Pink Tie can help you create a social media strategy as well as offer you a social media management solution to help you reach your audience and your goals. As a listener to Remove Before Flight, we want to give you a special deal. Sign up for one of our daily social media plans and we will take 50% off the price when you use coupon code RBF-001 during checkout. You can visit pinktietech.com/social-media-management to learn about all of our social media posting plans. All right, everybody, it's time to wrap up this show and get out of here. Life is short. Don't just dream, do. We will see you next week on Remove Before Flight. Thank you for listening.